Picture this. You're sitting in that sterile embassy waiting room, clutching your documents, watching others get rejected while you wonder if your Philippine passport will ever open the right doors. What if I told you that in 2026, 10 countries are about to flip that script completely, and the number one country will make you question everything you thought you knew about where Filipinos are truly valued? Number 10, Barbados. The Caribbean nation that once seemed worlds away from Manila is now rolling out the red carpet for Filipino professionals through its new digital nomad extended stay program. Starting January 2026, Filipinos can enter visa-free for up to 90 days, with an option to extend for remote workers and entrepreneurs for an additional 12 months. This isn't just about tropical beaches, it's about Barbados positioning itself as the Caribbean's tech hub while tapping into the Philippines' proven remote work expertise. The timing is strategic, as North American tech companies face tighter visa restrictions for bringing in international talent. Caribbean nations like Barbados are offering an alternative base within the same time zones. Filipino IT professionals, already dominating the global outsourcing market, can now establish themselves in a jurisdiction that offers both tax advantages and proximity to major markets. The ripple effect extends beyond individuals. Entire families are considering this as a stepping stone for children's education in English-speaking environments. But here's what makes this particularly intriguing. Barbados is betting that Filipino work culture, reliability, English proficiency, and technological adaptability will help transform its economy. What does it mean when small island nations are competing for Filipino talent? And could this signal a broader shift in how the world views Philippine human capital? Number 9, Paraguay. South America's landlocked surprise is making an unprecedented move. Paraguay's new Mercosur Mobility Initiative grants Filipinos visa-free entry for up to 180 days starting March 2026, with pathways to temporary residency for investors and retirees. This isn't random policymaking, it's calculated economic strategy. Paraguay recognizes that Filipino retirees, particularly those receiving U.S. Social Security or overseas pensions, represent stable economic injection with minimal social burden. The country is specifically targeting Filipino agricultural experts and agribusiness investors. With vast underutilized farmland and a need for modern agricultural techniques, Paraguay sees Filipino expertise in rice cultivation, aquaculture, and sustainable farming as game changers. The government projects that even 5,000 Filipino settlers could transform entire rural provinces through knowledge transfer and investment capital. Filipino-owned cooperatives are already being planned in 3 major agricultural zones. Imagine a retired teacher from Bataan finally using her pension to buy farmland and build the life she always dreamed of. Beyond economics, this reflects Paraguay's broader strategy to diversify its demographic and cultural landscape. The country has successfully integrated Japanese, Korean, and German communities over decades, and Filipino families are seen as the next beneficial wave. The social fabric strengthens through diversity, while the economy gains from entrepreneurial energy and international connections. What happens when traditionally homogeneous societies actively seek Filipino integration? Is this the beginning of South America's Asian demographic shift? Number 8, Estonia. The Baltic digital powerhouse is launching its most ambitious residency experiment yet. Estonia's Digital Citizenship Plus program grants Filipinos visa-free entry for up to 120 days starting June 2026, with fast-track pathways to digital residency and EU business establishment. This isn't just about tourism, it's about Estonia positioning itself as the bridge between Asian digital talent and European markets. The program targets Filipino freelancers, software developers, and digital entrepreneurs who want European market access without traditional bureaucracy. Estonian officials have studied Filipino success in global outsourcing and remote work, concluding that this demographic represents the ideal digital nomad population, highly skilled, culturally adaptable, and economically productive. The country projects that 10,000 Filipino digital residents could generate over 50 million euros in annual economic activity through EU business operations. What makes this revolutionary is Estonia's integration model. Filipino digital residents gain access to EU banking, can establish companies entirely online, and operate across all European markets from Manila or Tallinn. This creates a new category of global citizenship, neither traditional immigration nor simple tourism, but something entirely different. Estonian systems will track Filipino economic contributions in real time, potentially creating the world's first data-driven migration success model. Could Estonia become the template for how developed nations engage with skilled Filipino professionals? What happens when citizenship becomes as fluid as capital? Number 7. Georgia. The Caucasus Crossroads Nation is making a bold bet on Filipino entrepreneurship through its new Asian Bridge initiative. Starting August 2026, Filipinos receive visa-free entry for up to 365 days, essentially a full year without visa renewal. Georgia isn't just opening its doors. It's creating an entirely new economic zone designed around Filipino business culture and investment patterns. The strategy is sophisticated. Georgia recognizes its position as a gateway between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, but lacks the human capital to fully exploit this geographical advantage. Filipino traders, logistics experts, and service professionals are seen as the missing link. The government is establishing Filipino-friendly business districts in Tbilisi and Batumi, complete with halal food options, remittance centers, and Catholic churches. Tax incentives specifically favor businesses that create employment for both local Georgians and international Filipino staff. This reflects Georgia's broader transformation from post-Soviet struggling state to regional business hub. The country has successfully attracted investments from various Asian nations, but Filipino integration represents something different, not just capital, but comprehensive cultural and economic partnership. Georgian language training programs for Filipinos are already being developed, while Filipino cultural centers will introduce Georgian society to Southeast Asian perspectives. The ripple effects extend to education, with Georgian universities preparing exchange programs with Philippine institutions. When small nations bet their economic future on specific foreign demographics, what does that reveal about global power shifts? Number 6. Rwanda. Africa's success story is taking an unexpected turn toward Asian partnerships. Rwanda's new Africa-Asia Development Visa grants Filipinos 90-day visa-free entry starting September 2026. With extensions available for professionals contributing to the country's ambitious Vision 2050 development goals. This partnership goes deeper than typical visa liberalization. It represents Rwanda's recognition that Filipino expertise in healthcare, education, and infrastructure development could accelerate the nation's transformation. The program specifically targets Filipino nurses, teachers, engineers, and IT professionals. Rwanda has studied Philippine success in global health worker deployment and wants to reverse engineer that expertise for African development. Filipino nurses could help establish medical training programs, while educators could assist in English language instruction and vocational training. The economic model is compelling. Rather than sending development aid, Rwanda is creating conditions for mutually beneficial skill transfer. What makes this fascinating is the potential for broader Filipino-African cooperation. Rwanda's success with post-conflict development mirrors aspects of Philippine resilience culture, creating natural partnership foundations. The country is also positioning itself as the entry point for Filipino businesses interested in the African Continental Free Trade Area, the world's largest trade bloc since the WTO. Early pilot programs show promising results, with Filipino agribusiness experts already advising on coffee cultivation, improvements, and Filipino logistics companies exploring regional distribution networks. If you had to relocate in 2026, which of these countries would you choose, and why? Rwanda's bet on Filipino partnership could transform how Africa engages with Asia. What happens when developing nations bypass traditional Western development models and create direct South-South cooperation? Could Filipino expertise become Africa's catalyst for accelerated growth? Number 5. Iceland. The Nordic island nation is making perhaps the most surprising move of all. Iceland's new Arctic Innovation Visa grants Filipinos 90-day visa-free entry starting October 2026. With pathways to extended residence for professionals in renewable energy, sustainable tourism, and marine sciences. This isn't about filling labor shortages. It's about Iceland positioning itself as a global leader in climate adaptation and sustainable development. The connection to the Philippines is more strategic than obvious. Iceland recognizes that Filipino engineers and scientists, coming from a disaster-prone archipelago, possess unique expertise in climate resilience and natural disaster management. The country wants to tap into Filipino innovation in areas like geothermal energy optimization, sustainable aquaculture, and ecotourism development. Icelandic universities are already preparing joint research programs with Philippine institutions focusing on volcanic monitoring, renewable energy storage, and sustainable fisheries management. The cultural integration model is particularly thoughtful. Iceland understands that Filipino workers thrive in supportive, family-oriented communities, so the program includes housing assistance, language training, and cultural adaptation support. The country projects that even 2,000 Filipino residents could significantly impact its innovation ecosystem while adding cultural diversity to one of the world's most homogeneous societies. Filipino cultural festivals, cuisine, and community organizations are being planned to ensure successful integration. This represents Iceland's broader strategy to remain globally relevant despite its small population. By attracting highly skilled Filipinos, the country gains access to broader Asian networks, expertise in climate adaptation, and cultural perspectives essential for addressing global challenges. What does it mean when some of the world's most exclusive societies actively seek Filipino integration? Could Iceland become the model for how developed nations leverage Filipino expertise for mutual benefit? Number 4. Montenegro. The Balkan jewel is implementing one of Europe's most Filipino-friendly policies through its new Mediterranean Partnership Program. Starting November 2026, Filipinos receive visa-free entry for up to 90 days, with fast-track residency options for retirees, investors, and remote workers. Montenegro isn't just opening its borders, it's creating an entirely new economic model based on international lifestyle migration. The strategy targets Filipino retirees with overseas pensions and Filipino professionals working for international companies. Montenegro offers European lifestyle at significantly lower costs than traditional Western European destinations. Combined with stunning natural beauty and strategic location, the country projects that 15,000 Filipino residents could inject over 200 million euros annually into the local economy through housing, services, and consumption. Filipino-owned businesses are expected to create thousands of local jobs while introducing new service sectors. This isn't just about tourism anymore, it's about where Filipino talent is wanted most. What makes Montenegro's approach unique is its integration planning. The country is establishing Filipino community centers, ensuring Catholic Church services, and creating business support systems specifically designed for Filipino entrepreneurs. Language training programs work both ways, Filipinos learning Montenegrin and locals learning basic Filipino phrases and cultural concepts. The goal isn't just economic benefit but genuine cultural enrichment. Montenegro's timing is particularly strategic. As traditional European residency programs become more restrictive and expensive, Montenegro offers a more accessible European lifestyle option. The country is betting that Filipino cultural values, family orientation, community building, and economic responsibility will strengthen rather than strain local social systems. Could Montenegro become Europe's unexpected Filipino gateway? What happens when small European nations compete specifically for Filipino residents? Number 3. Palau. The Pacific Paradise is making a move that signals much more than tourism policy. Palau's new Pacific Family Initiative grants Filipinos visa-free entry for up to 180 days, starting December 2026, with pathways to long-term residency for families and professionals. This isn't just about geographic proximity, it's about Palau recognizing deep cultural and historical connections with the Philippines while addressing its own demographic and economic challenges. The program specifically addresses Palau's aging population and limited workforce. Filipino healthcare workers, teachers, and service professionals are seen as essential for maintaining Palauan quality of life while preserving cultural authenticity. The integration model is sophisticated. Rather than simple labor importation, Palau is creating partnership programs where Filipino families contribute skills while learning and preserving Palauan traditions. Cultural exchange programs include Filipino children learning Palauan languages while Palauan students study in the Philippines. For a Filipino nurse working double shifts in Dubai, Palau offers something different: work-life balance in paradise. What makes this particularly significant is the broader Pacific strategy. Palau is positioning itself as the model for sustainable Pacific Island development, where traditional culture and modern economic needs balance through strategic international partnerships. The country projects that 5,000 Filipino residents could transform its economy while strengthening rather than diluting local culture. Filipino businesses are expected to boost tourism, improve healthcare services, and modernize education systems. The geopolitical implications extend beyond bilateral relations. Palau's success with Filipino integration could influence other Pacific nations facing similar demographic challenges. This could create a network of Pacific states with strong Filipino populations, potentially shifting regional economic and cultural dynamics. What happens when small island nations bet their future on specific international partnerships? Could Palau become the template for sustainable Pacific development through selective migration? Number 2, Slovenia. Central Europe's hidden gem is launching its most ambitious international recruitment program ever. Slovenia's Alpine Opportunity Visa grants Filipinos visa-free entry for up to 90 days starting January 2026, with accelerated pathways to EU residence and citizenship for skilled professionals. This isn't just immigration policy, it's Slovenia's strategy to become Central Europe's innovation hub while addressing critical labor shortages in healthcare, engineering, and technology. The program targets Filipino professionals who want European Union access without the complexity and costs of larger EU nations. Slovenia offers exceptional quality of life, political stability, and access to all European markets at a fraction of traditional immigration costs. The country projects that 20,000 Filipino professionals could fill critical gaps in healthcare systems, boost technology sectors, and strengthen educational institutions. Slovenian universities are already preparing programs designed for Filipino students and professionals. What makes Slovenia's approach revolutionary is its integration philosophy. Rather than expecting complete assimilation, the country is creating space for Filipino cultural expression while ensuring productive economic participation. Filipino cultural organizations, businesses, and even political participation are being encouraged as part of Slovenia's vision for dynamic, diverse democracy. The country believes Filipino community-building skills and entrepreneurial energy will strengthen Slovenian society while contributing to broader European Union competitiveness. Slovenia's timing reflects broader EU recognition that traditional immigration models aren't working effectively. The country is betting that targeted recruitment of specific demographics, particularly skilled Filipino professionals, will produce better economic and social outcomes than general immigration policies. The success or failure of Slovenia's Filipino integration could influence EU-wide immigration reform. Could Slovenia become the EU's most Filipino-friendly nation? What happens when European Union countries compete specifically for Filipino talent? Number 1, United Arab Emirates. This is the revelation that changes everything. The United Arab Emirates, the Middle East's economic powerhouse and global crossroads, is launching the most comprehensive Filipino partnership program in modern diplomatic history. The Emirates' new Golden Gateway initiative grants Filipinos completely visa-free entry for up to 180 days, starting February 2026, with automatic pathways to the coveted Golden Visa for professionals, investors, and entrepreneurs. This isn't just immigration reform, this is the recognizing the Philippines as its strategic partner for long-term economic sustainability. The scope is unprecedented. The projects that 500,000 Filipino professionals will strengthen every major sector within the first 3 years. Healthcare systems will expand through Filipino nurses and doctors. Education will modernize through Filipino teachers and administrators. Infrastructure projects will accelerate through Filipino engineering expertise. But the real breakthrough is the shift from temporary worker programs to permanent partnership models, offering Filipinos genuine pathways to build generational wealth and community. What makes this groundbreaking is the complete restructuring of traditional Gulf employment relationships. Filipino families receive housing assistance, education benefits, and healthcare coverage comparable to developed Western nations. Filipino cultural centers, schools, and business districts are being established in every major emirate. These introducing Filipino holidays as official celebrations, formally recognizing Filipino contributions to Emirati prosperity and culture. The geopolitical implications are profound. The choice of the Philippines as its primary Asian workforce partner signals the Gulf's recognition that sustainable development requires genuine partnership rather than temporary labor exploitation. When the region's most successful economy chooses Filipinos as long-term partners in building the Middle East's future, it represents a fundamental shift in how oil-rich nations approach human capital development and cultural integration. These 10 countries represent something far more significant than visa liberalization. They signal a fundamental transformation in global mobility and economic strategy. In 2026, visa policies are no longer simply about tourism or temporary movement. They've become instruments of economic leverage, talent attraction, security calibration, and diplomatic positioning. What we're witnessing is the world's recognition that the Philippine passport doesn't just represent individual travelers. It represents access to one of the globe's most adaptable, skilled, and culturally intelligent populations. From Estonia's digital innovation to this comprehensive partnership, from Rwanda's transformation to Slovenia's EU integration, these nations understand that Filipino expertise and cultural values can accelerate their own development goals. The broader pattern reveals how immigration restrictions in some regions quietly redirect opportunity elsewhere, creating new corridors of possibility and partnership. While some borders tighten, others recognize that strategic openness, particularly to proven demographics, like Filipino professionals, creates competitive advantages in the global economy. The resilience and growing strength of the Philippine passport reflects not just diplomatic relationships, but the world's increasing recognition of Filipino contributions to global development, innovation, and cultural enrichment. Do stricter immigration policies strengthen a nation, or do they quietly redirect opportunity somewhere else?